certainly details some important information, and we all know what Mr. Porter did for our community, and we know the important work that he did. But we get a glimpse into the life of the teachers during this time period and what they had to go through.
Get involved. Get involved. Because what's going on in this country now, it's going to take us back to the days that these candidates spoke about today. And let me say this. Look at me. I stand up there and I try to represent District 1, the only minority district in this county. That district wasn't given to us. There was a lawsuit filed in 1989 by W.N. Porter for us to have representation, because before then, I was involved in it too. We had no representation, none whatsoever. And when I go to my board meetings and sit out in their audits, I don't see any minority faces. I'm up there fighting for you. And let me tell you, it is not easy. Because they tried to take my district 4 years ago. And what did they tell me? We didn't get it this time, but we'll get it next time. I don't care who is there. We need some representation. And we need to stop fighting amongst each other and start fighting for all of us.
Next, gerrymandering. They are constantly trying to redo the lines so that we will not have the one Democratic commissioner that we have and the one Board of Education representative. We must advocate and speak out about that. We've got to write, we've got to fight, and we've got to attend meetings and get informed. But we've got to use our voices to say this is not right. We all need to have the privilege to have a representative.
Racism still exists.
Amen.
And I remind myself that if I decide to put the burden down, I'm a white girl. I can go on. My life isn't impacted. But all of you, all people of color in this country, when you look in the mirror, that doesn't change, does it? And you have to have that fight every single day. And yes, Council Commissioner McCoy and Board Member Gainey are our only people of color on an elected board here in Harnett County. There are no department heads in the Harnett County government. We've heard stories of discrimination in schools. We heard stories at work. Last year, Stanley Price said he quit applying to be a principal because he continually got denied. John Chance, same thing. Students discriminated against and words leveled at.
The saying here, I'm pretty sure a lot of y'all might know about it, some might not know about it. But when I came up in this county, there wasn't no such thing as sitting around with a bunch of white people. It was black people had your area that you was in, and the white people had the area that they was in. And my way of getting away from that was going into the military. So I went into the military thinking that I was going to get away from it, but it was some of that in the military too. So when I returned from the military, I decided to come back to Harnett County. And when I came back to Harnett County, there was a few changes. I knew nothing about, when I was coming up, about going to school with white kids, because everything was certain. We didn't mingle among one another. But when I came back, I had the privilege of getting a job with Harnett County. I started out in Harnett County as a carpenter, and I worked my way up to a building inspector. And as the job grew, we need more and more inspectors. So one of the guys decided he was gonna retire. So we had to hire some more guys in. And I was one of the guys that helped train the guys that came in. And about maybe a month or so later, the chief inspector passed. So we was waiting on who to become the chief building inspector. So I felt like because I was helped set the program up that I was in line to get that. But lo and behold, not me. The same guy that I trained in Harnett County, same white guy, became the chief building inspector. Became the county chief building inspector. So I goes to the county manager at this time, and I wanted to just have a little conversation with him about why was I overlooked. And when I walked in, I sit down and me and him start talking. He looked at me and he told me, he said, young man, he says, I don't have to explain nothing to you. So I looked at him and I told him he might not have to explain it to me, but he gonna explain it to somebody.
Well.
So I brought a little article here in the paper. I don't have a bunch of it, but you can pass it around. But you can see right here where discrimination charge is filed against the county. And you can look there, and you can see that that's John King. And this happened in 1982. So I've been on a mission ever since, because it's time for we as black people to stop sitting back, not speaking out, and speaking about things that you know that's going on.
That's right.
As long as we sit back and don't bring it up, then we're going to continue the struggle. And you'll never get over the struggle as long as we keep our mouths shut.
That's right.
I look at Harnett County now, just thinking about, you're talking about 30-some years ago when I filed the suit. And I still don't know whether there's a black department head in Harnett County now or not.
No.
No. Okay then. So,
That's about us as black citizens.
wow. See, that's amazing. And they think we supposed to be all right because we got one black board member and one black county commissioner. No, that's not all right. I want to say to the young people, I'm a little old, but I want you young people to grab hold of something, pick it up, and start fighting for the rights. You have a right to be what you want to be. You shouldn't have to grow up in Harnett County, get a college education, how to move to New York, Baltimore, D.C., somewhere to get you a good paying job and have something to do.
That's right.
That happens in Harnett County. And they won't tell you that, I know because I was in there, to keep from having a black in a position at leadership, they will tell you, well, we're going to hire this person temporarily. And you have people in Harnett County that's temporarily retired to keep from a black person to get that job. We need to do something about this. So I'm calling on all of you guys, please, young people, stand up and don't let nobody tell you that you can't do it. That's the worst thing in the world that you can do. Look at me. I'm a 70-some-year-old man. And I ain't going to stop talking to the good Lord shut my mouth. That's the only somebody that's in charge of me. So I have a right to speak like I want to. And I know my 10 minutes might not quite be up because like I told the timer, I said, in order for me to talk like I want to, you need to throw the time away and nobody else need to speak because I have a whole lot of stuff going on with me coming up in Harnett County. And it's easy now when I look back on it, it was rough to come up in Harnett County. And it was rough for black people in any county. It don't make no difference what county you was from or what state you was from, you know. And we got to get to the point to, we got to lock them hands again like we used to do in them days. In them days, we go to church. Red would let us know what was going on in the community.
Well.
We didn't have to worry about getting it from somebody else, and then you wouldn't know whether it's an alternative facts or not. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Everything now is alternative. There's no such thing as the truth and a lie. We need to get back to the truth and a lie. If a person is lying, call them out. If they're telling the truth, let them know that you know that they're telling the truth. But I appreciate this. This is very, very interesting, and I want you to continue to do this, because now you know I love you, so you got to keep it up. And we're gonna stay up here. And I thank you again for giving me the opportunity to express myself a little bit. Maybe we can get in another setting when we can go back and I can tell you about some more times that I had in Harnett County. So thank you very much. All right.
Take the opportunity to read about Mr. Jimmy Force Ragland. Jimmy Force Ragland was born in Dunn, North Carolina, to the late Gladys Matthews Ragland and the late Force Ragland. He is the middle child of 7 children, 2 girls and 4 boys. He attended Andrew Elementary School, Bethlehem Elementary School, North Harnett Elementary School, and Shawtown High School. After high school, he enrolled in Shaw University in Raleigh, North Carolina, and graduated in 1967, earning his Bachelor of Science degree. His first professional job was as a social worker with the Harnett County Department of Social Services here in Littleton, North Carolina, where he was the first black social worker for the agency. He was a notary public and was employed for 33 years as a social worker too at the Cumberland County Department of Social Services, Fayetteville, North Carolina. He also worked at Cross Street Mall, Sears Men's Department for 7 years. He served as president and treasurer for the Cumberland County chapter of the North Carolina Association of Social Workers, treasurer for the Cumberland County chapter of Association for Black Social Workers, treasurer for the Cumberland County chapter of Shaw University National Alumni Association, and vice president publicity chairperson for the Shawtown High School Alumni Association. He is a life member of NAACP and life member of Shaw University National Alumni Association. He is a charter member of the Fayetteville Cumberland County Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Committee, where he served for 32 years. Member of the Southern Poverty Law Center, American Civil Liberty Union, Greenpeace, and Amnesty International. He is a certified election official and served as an election official in Cross Creek Precinct 29, Fayetteville, North Carolina, as well as second vice president, Cross Creek Precinct 29. Served on the Cumberland County Minimum Housing Standards Board and the Cumberland County Board of Adjustments. He was selected to serve as a moderator for Governor Jim Hunt's conference in Minority Health. On October 1st, 2007, he was awarded the Order of Long Leaf Pine by North Carolina Governor Mike Easley. He assumed a management of the Andrew Community Cemetery in March 2008. In 2017, he established the Jim Force Ragland Endowment Scholarship Fund at Shaw University. Giving first consideration to students from Andrew, North Carolina, and second consideration to any student from Harnett County. He is an avid supporter of Shaw University. He co-authored the book, Andrew, North Carolina, An African American Perspective. In April 2022, he was recognized by Shaw University during the Awards Day program and during the 2022 homecoming celebration on October 21st, 2022, where he was awarded the Alumni Distinguished Service Award by President Paulette Dillon, Shaw University, Raleigh, North Carolina. As a student at Shaw University, North Carolina, he participated in one protest march for voting rights and equal rights. His march was a combination of Shaw University, St. Augustine University, North Carolina State University, UNC, North Carolina Central University, Methodist College, members of local churches and communities. The most personal involvement of the civil rights movement was supporting his sister, Janice E. Ragland, who was the first black student to graduate from Andrew High School, Angier, North Carolina. She was the graduation class of 1965. During the summer of 1964, the Harnett County School implemented the freedom of choice option for attending school in Harnett County. Janice, a cousin, a friend, agreed to integrate Andrew High School. They were to make applications and get their assignments prior to the beginning of the school year. Janice completed and submitted her application for enrollment. When she asked her cousin and friend about their applications, she was told by her cousin and friend that they had changed their minds and did not apply. The rule at the time required that you attend the school that you applied for and was assigned to attend, or you would have to attend a school in another county. Janice enrolled in Andrew High School as the only black student in the high school grades. Robin Freeman, a first grader, was a lone black student, should be the only black student in elementary grades. They were the only 2 black students in the schools. Each day that I got home from Shaw, I would try to assess Janice's attitude and spirit. I tried to talk to her, with her about her day. She would never discuss what she experienced at school. Later, when I was gathering information from individuals that integrated the school system, individuals that integrated the Harnett County school system and saved their information for historical purposes, I interviewed students that attended Andrew High School, Littleton High School, Ben Haven High School, Irwin High School, Dunn High School, and Lafayette High School. I did not locate anyone that attended Coast High School that would share their experiences. I did not locate the name of anyone that attended Anderson Creek High School. I have been working on this video documentary for 30 years. The first person interviewed was Virgil Street. In 1968, after mandatory integration, I tried to advocate for black students in Andrew, North Carolina. I participated in interracial meetings to address concerns of the black students at Andrew High School. At the last meeting I attended, I made the statement. Lots of students indicated that some of the racial issues were administrative in character. The principal stated, now, when you say administrative, I think you were talking about me. I replied, I said administrative to include you. With this, the meeting was terminated early, and I was never invited to another meeting. I do not know if there was ever another meeting. I never heard another thing about a meeting occurring. In June 1968, my wife, Ruby F. Ragland, was fired from her position as teacher at Lafayette High School, Kidland, North Carolina. This was the first year of mandatory integration, and she was a treatment of the black students and teachers. Her concern was the treatment of the black students and the teachers. She began wearing an afro hairstyle. This hairstyle changed because her principal to declare her militant. At the end of the school year, she was terminated. The same week she was terminated as a social worker at the Harnett County Department of Social Services, I overheard white staff talking about Mr. W.N. Porter, principal at Shoptown High School, being fired. During my lunch period, I went to Shoptown High School and met with Mr. Porter. I notified him of the rumor, and he verified the rumor. I notified him that my wife had also been fired. He shared with me the news that Fred Freeman, teacher at Littleton High School, and Linda Jesse, teacher at Dunn High School, had been fired. My wife was fired because she was labeled as militant. Linda Jesse said she was fired because she read her Bible in school. She said the stress and the treatment at Dunn High School was so bad she did not eat in the cafeteria. She would send her students to their lunch, and she would eat her lunch at her desk and read her Bible. They fired her for reading the Bible. My wife and I tried to get Linda Jesse to join the lawsuit, but she refused, saying she did not have the strength to go through the ordeal of a trial. As a result of these dismissals, Mr. Porter, my wife, and Fred Freeman filed lawsuit against the Board of Education. Felders versus the Harnett County Board of Education. The lawsuits of Porter, Freeman, and Ragland were adjoined with the Felder versus Harnett Board of Education. Meetings were held at First Presbyterian Church, Shoptown Road, Littleton, North Carolina, led by Mr. Sammy Rose of the NAACP and the Reverend Felder of Goldsboro, North Carolina. The lawsuit was filed as Mamie E. Felder, appellees versus Harnett County Board of Education in the United States Court of Appeals, 4th District. Reverend Felder led these meetings and coached attendees of updates regarding the pending case and additional discriminatory events throughout the county. Attendees were also instructed on things not to do, because the North Carolina legislature was passing laws to persecute anyone engaging in behavior that disrupted the communities and or the educational processes in North Carolina. It was stressed that nothing discussed or planned was to ever be put in writing and made public, as the information could be used to sue the individual and or the group of causing public disturbance by elected officials. Can I say my God? One strategy of the firing was fired by Mr. Porter at Shoptown High, Fred at Littleton High, Linda Jessie at Dunn High, and my wife at Lafayette High School. It would have been unlikely that the individual would not have met and discussed their dismissals. Mr. Porter, as a principal, would have left the school later than Fred Freeman, a teacher. Mr. Porter would have traveled on Highway 210 from Shoptown to Highway 21 to Irwin. Fred would have left earlier and traveled Highway 210 from Littleton High to Highway 401 going to Fuquay. Ruby Ragland would have traveled Chalabit Road from Chalabit Springs to Andrew. Littleton Jessie would have traveled I-95 to Highway 301 from Dunn to Fayetteville. Chances are great that neither would have crossed paths and discussed their dismissals. Thus, it put everyone in a position that if they were ashamed of being fired, it would not have been mentioned because they would have not met anyone in a similar situation. Our time is up. Let me read this last part of this paragraph. The case remained in litigation for 17 years. The plaintiffs were given a financial settlement, but the amount approved by the courts resulted in each person being fired getting about $3,500. And the opportunity to be rehired by the Harnett County School System need to return to the Harnett County School System. And that's not all, folks, but I gotta stop.
Who is Mrs. Carolyn McDougal, because she's another one of those persons when I moved back home that I contacted because she was the president of the NAACP during that time. And so I got to talk with her and work with her, and we nominated her. She has had some medical issues, so she cannot be here with us today, but her daughter and granddaughter prepared a video, and we're going to close by looking at that video. Her daughter is in the pink and happens to be a great soror. She chose the right sorority that, amen. And so we're going to imagine that.
Okay, greetings and salutations to the nominees, elected officials, and all those in attendance. I am Amaya Witherspoon. I am the granddaughter of Carolyn P. McDougal. I'm not her daughter. My mom is Tawanda, but I am the granddaughter. I just wanted to take a time to bring greetings on behalf of my grandmother, and thank you all for this nomination.
Greetings and happy Black History Month, everyone. My name is John C. Stansberry, and I am a volunteer of Second Chance CDC under the leadership of CEO and founder, Carolyn McDougal. We are honored to present this visual representation of Ms. McDougal's impact on the civil rights movement that you will all see momentarily.
Thank you so much, and we hope you enjoy.
Not only was there no action taken, it was covered up. How many more has we covered up?
The NAACP says Dunn City officials knew and had access to dashcam video that appears to show a police officer kick a man after he's been arrested.
Seems very clear message to other officers. They can use unnecessary violence and brutal action against any person that come into contact and can get away with it.
Stand up, take my people with me, together
Humble Beginnings, introducing Carolyn Poston McDougal. Carolyn P. McDougal is the daughter of the late Charles and Helen Poston of Four Oaks, North Carolina. She graduated high school at Forest Hill High and attended Campbell University and holds an associate's degree in business management. Carolyn was married for over 40 years to the late Deacon Leslie McDougal. They have one wonderful daughter, Tawanda McDougal, and one grandchild, Amaya Witherspoon. Carolyn had a total of 8 siblings, including 4 living brothers, 2 deceased brothers, and 1 living sister, along with a host of other family members. The Honorable Carolyn P. McDougal, a Black woman, activist, would likely explain her value of family as a cornerstone of both personal resilience and collective liberation. Family, for her, represents more than just biological ties. It's a symbol of cultural heritage, generational wisdom, wealth, and solidarity. In the face of systematic oppression, family has been a place of refuge, strength, and emotional grounding, providing nurturing environments needed for the resistance of activism. She would view her role in the community as a part of a collective responsibility to uplift each other with a deep understanding that her work is not only for her own freedom, but for the empowerment and well-being of all people. For McDougal, family is a source of affirmation and healing, anchoring her activism in love, community, and the enduring fight for justice.
And I don't mind if I lose any blood on the way to salvation. And I fight with the strength that I got until I die. So I'm gonna stand up, take my people with me. Together we are going to a brand new home, far across the river. And you hear freedom calling, calling me to answer. Gonna keep on keeping on.
Carolyn served for 8 years on the Dunn City Council and the Community Development Board in the city of Dunn. She was instrumental in renaming Clinton Avenue Street and Dunn to Martin L. King Street. She was able to pass a bill to hold on an open mic forum at governmental meetings. She has assisted in a number of murder cases, racial profiling cases, and economic stonewalling of new business owners. In addition to advocating for various organizations throughout the state targeted to improve education, economic awareness, development, cultural affairs, and affordable housing. Carolyn P. McDougal is a trailblazing leader whose unwavering commitment to social justice and advocacy has profoundly impacted her community and the state of North Carolina. As the first African-American councilwoman of Harnett County, Miss Carolyn broke barriers and paved the way for diverse representation in local government. Miss Carolyn's pioneering spirit also shines in her entrepreneurial achievements, as she became the first woman to receive a state award for small business owner advocacy while successfully running her own business. Today, she continues her legacy of empowerment in action as the founder of NC Second Chance Developmental Corporation. Through her renowned nonprofit, Ms. Carolyn and her team of executive board members and volunteers provide transformative civic engagement and advocacy for communities of color across Wake, Lee, Harnett, and Johnston counties. Her tireless efforts remain a beacon of hope and progress, inspiring others to join the movement for equity and opportunity for all.
Her accolades are as follows. On August 8, 2019, Carolyn was presented with a proclamation from the mayor of her hometown city, Dunn, North Carolina, in recognition of her contributions to society and for her service and devotion to its citizens. Carolyn is also a lifetime member of the NAACP, To list a few awards includes the Minority Small Business Advocate of the Year from the U.S. Small Businesses Administration, Distinguished Service Award of Exceptional Leadership and Devoted Service to the MBTAW from Harnett County, a Certificate of Appreciation from the Governor's Volunteer Awards Program, the NAACP President's Award from Harnett County, Harnett County's Minority Economic Development Association Certificate of Achievement, Welfare to Work Business Owner from the U.S. Small Business Administration, and the NAACP Humanitarian Award on the state level, the Freedom Torch Award, and the Political Trailblazer and Organizer Award.
Ms. McDougal, the honorary recipient, has been a beacon of hope and a champion of justice. She has left a lasting impact on her fight for equality from the start of her journey to become a statewide and local activist.
In conclusion, the Honorable Carolyn P. McDougal has not only valued family as a source of strength, resilience, and collective empowerment, but has also extended that foundation to the broader global community. Through the voices shared today, Ms. McDougal's impact continues to resonate, leaving a lasting legacy among countless entrepreneurs, leaders, families, and learners. Through her activism, she has made a seat at the table for Black women across the world, ensuring that their voices, struggles, and contributions be recognized and celebrated. Today, she continues to build on this legacy of empowerment and action as the founder of North Carolina's Second Chance CDC. We and I are committed to continuing my grandmother's legacy by following in her footsteps as an activist. I will work to create meaningful change and advocate for the causes she deeply cared about. Her tireless efforts remains a beacon of hope and strength to inspire others to join the movement for equality, opportunity, and justice for all. Thank you to the Honorable Carolyn Poston McDougal.
Stand up, take my people with me. Together we are going to a brand new home. Far across the river, can you hear freedom calling? Calling me to answer, gonna keep on keeping on.
Bishop Hinton, who is the pastor of Mount Pisgah Church, to come and join us at the table. If you would tell us your civil rights story.
Well, good morning. Bless God for being here and the opportunity to share. I am humbled by the opportunity to be here, realizing there are so many who have similar stories that impact the lives of so many. I had the privilege, I'll use that term, to grow up in a time when our nation was facing turmoil around the issue of race. As has already been shared, I went to public school for the first 9 years of my education at a segregated school. I then transitioned to an integrated school that in Cary, North Carolina, which was Apex, North Carolina first, and then of course to Cary next. And it was such a contrast in experience. Apex was much smaller, and we found ourselves in class with people that we worked in tobacco with, that were in the neighborhoods with us, and so there was a lot of common ground, and the transition went, I think, relatively smoothly. The situation at Cary was a little different in that we were bused in, and that was one of the experiences that many African Americans experienced during that time. We were basically uprooted from our communities and then bused to other areas. I went to 4 different schools in 4 different years, primarily because of integration and issues that came along with it. From high school to college, I was accepted at the University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill. Was able to attend and graduated, thankfully, and I bless God for that. But that too was an experience where that I remember a couple of instances distinctly when my roommate and I were the only African Americans in our entire dorm. And we would experience people walking by our doors just standing, staring at us. Having gone to the restroom and having the word kill, the N-word across the mirrors. To have that written on a poster, a pizza poster that was on our desk, on our door. And so we experienced firsthand what racism can look like. But to fast forward to my time as a state employee, I was fortunate enough after graduating from high school and college to return to Wake County and to work in tobacco after I got my college degree. I was still private tobacco, as we called it. But fortunately, did get the opportunity to become gainfully employed by the Department of Revenue and spent almost 31 years there. In that time, I was privileged to end my career as the first African American Secretary of Revenue. And so it was pretty humbling for me to go from an experience growing up without the benefit of indoor plumbing, where that we had to, the running water amounted to us running from the house to the well and back. And so that was our experience. But needless to say, it positioned me to be able to make a difference when I had the opportunity. I came to Harnett County as the youth pastor for the Mount Pisgah Harnett Church in December of 1981. I've been here ever since I was elected senior pastor, or the term that we call now senior pastor, in July of 1982, and have served there for the past 42 years. We tried to be instrumental in the community in what I believe is so critically important. If you're going to be effective, you have to be able to work on the outside and the inside. If you don't get access to the doors of opportunity, you will never be able to make inroads for others. And it has been my philosophy to operate from the standpoint of let me be engaging with those who have the opportunity and power to change things. And in that process, effect change on the inside. And so as we've developed relationships over the years, we do believe that that impact has been experienced. Has it been what we wanted to be? Absolutely not. But we're thankful that we are making some progress. Things like closing the achievement gap, which we know is real in our community, and for reasons that are more than just the skin color of a student. There are economic and other disadvantages that have to be overcome if our kids are going to be able to compete on an even playing field. Things like making sure that resources within the community are properly allocated and not based on where a person lives or who the community is that attends a particular school, but ensuring that every classroom is staffed appropriately with the necessary resources for that child to succeed. We partnered with Dunn Middle School and we're in the process of developing that plan with a couple of our members who have been very successful in their personal careers, having risen to the highest levels of their professions. But in that, it provides us the opportunity to impact young people who otherwise don't have the direction that they need in order to make a difference in their lives. When you grow up without the positive influences that allow you to get out of the situations that you're in, and to see that there are other opportunities available to you, it makes it a self-perpetuating circumstance where that a child continues to see the same thing over and over again, and he or she feels like that he or she does not have options beyond that. But when you can effect to the point that children know that they are just like anybody else, that God says that each one of us, that we are fearfully and wonderfully made. Yes. That God gives all of us, every one of his children, the opportunity to be all that he calls them to be. When they understand that they are not limited by what people say, but what they choose to do, it positions them to be successful. It is my hope that something that we have done in the past 42 years has made an impact. I want to leave with this. I sincerely believe that one of the things that has been important to me has been whenever doors have been opened, and I have had the opportunity to walk through those doors, to ensure that I did my best to provide a good example so that the one behind me would not be excluded because I did not perform in the manner that I needed to. And so that becomes so very important, even to the point of sacrifice while you're in those settings, because you don't want the next person to not have opportunity because of what I did or what I said. And so it is my hope that something I've shared today is uplifting, encouraging, and inspiring to those who will watch this video later. Thank you.
To tell my story. For 3 years I've been nominated, but because I was one of the persons putting this together, I always said no. But this year, for some reason, I felt led to say yes. And I should tell you that one of the characteristics to be considered is that you're 70 years or older. And I just turned 70. It is indeed an honor, and I would say I'm really honored because I've got family here today. I've got my oldest brother, the third brother, my baby sister and baby brother who are twins, and his wife. I've got first cousins, second cousins, third cousins. If you're related to me, would you just stand? If you're related to me in any way. Amen. Amen. Thank you all for coming. Yes. They integrated schools in 1968 in Harnett County. And when they integrated schools, they integrated at grade 9 and through grade 12. So that meant that the younger siblings, I'm 9 years older than the babies in my family, and my oldest brother was a freshman at Fayetteville State University. And the younger ones are, as I said, 9, 8 years and 6 years younger than I am. So that meant I was the only child riding the bus where we were assigned. And I was assigned to Lillington High School. Lived in Bun Level, on the Bun Level Irwin Road, not far from where I live in my parents' house today. And every day I was called nigger when I got on the bus. Not one day. Many days I had spitballs thrown at me. If there were a black walking down the street, they would yell, "Look at the niggers!" every day. One day I was sitting there and I felt some rotten clabbered milk hit me on the back of my head. That was it. I had had as much as I could take. I knew who had done it, and I ran and I started fighting. Now, no one would sit with me on the bus. No one talked to me on the bus. The same white boys who would come over and play football with my brothers would not speak to me on the bus. But I felt that milk hit me in the back of my head, and I said, I've had enough. I cannot take anymore. Well, I did a pretty good job. And the young boy said, my daddy is a Klans member and they're going to get you. Well, sure enough, that night, there was a cross burnt in our yard. My parents both worked at Irwin Mills, Burlington. And I called them and they came home. I got my daddy's shotgun. My mother said I've always had a big head. And I went out on the porch. And I shot it. I had never shot it before. It knocked me down flat. It was nothing but God, but the shot went up in the air, so it didn't have a chance of hitting anybody. That was a blessing. And my mother told me not to talk about it. She said, don't talk about this. Don't talk about it. And really, I never really talked about it very much. But that was enough for my parents to go to meet with the principal at Lillington High. And so when they went to meet with the principal, and my mother told the principal what had happened, he said, yes, your girl is the only Negro girl riding the bus. And my mother, you would have to know my mother. She had a little temper. And she told him, she said, I'll have your job if it's the last thing I'll do, after she slapped him. She left there and went over to the Board of Education, which was located right next door. And the superintendent said, well, we're not going to transfer anyone. And my mother said, no, my daughter has to come out of that school. There were fights at Lillington High School all the time. Anyone who went there with me, Elsie, you remember those fights. All the time. So the superintendent did grant the transfer, and I transferred to Irwin High School. And it was totally different. There they had a system where 1 year the president of the class would be black, the vice president would be white, the secretary would be black, the treasurer would be white, and then it would reverse the next year. So it was a totally different climate than what I had experienced at Lillington High School. But that was the impetus for me to say, we've got to fight. My mother got involved with the NAACP, Mr. Porter. They did petitions and all kinds of things. At the end of the school year, that principal lost his job. So that started my involvement. I lived in Houston, where I taught English, became an administrator, principal at a school, and then I moved back home after being there for 35 years. I pastored for 25 of those 35 years while I was there, and I moved back home to take care of my dad when he got sick. And so COVID came after that, and I felt like we needed to know who the Democratic candidates were. And so I called Commissioner Barbara McCoy and I said, listen, I know it's COVID, but the people need to know who the candidates are, and we can do this via Zoom. Would you help me? And so she started working with me there. And we got the candidates to come over Zoom so that the people in the community could see who they are, heard what their platforms were. I got involved here as I was in the Houston area with the NAACP. Bishop Hinton and I served together on the opioid task force. He's right. Listen, we have to learn, we have to work with people. And the only way we can make our voices heard is when we are there expressing the needs of our community. And so that is what we do. Not only that, we serve in a group from Campbell University for faith leaders, and participated in a conference recently for that. This is the latest thing that has happened to me. Project 2025 was something that I knew people needed to know about. So I traveled the county making presentations on Project 2025. Some of you have been at those presentations and heard me make them. I got a message from the Klan that said, we're watching you. But there are some things that you cannot allow fear to silence.
Right.
If we don't stand up for each other, if we don't fight for one another. And what we know is that there are good people, no matter what the color, they're good.
Yeah. All right.
Awesome black people, they're good. Awesome white people,
Yes.
they're good. They're awful, evil white people. They're awful, evil black people.
Amen. Amen.
But God has the ability to do awesome, wonderful, marvelous things. And listen, my mother used to say this. She said, pray knowing everything depends upon God. But fight as if it depends upon you. We are to be God's hands and His feet here on earth. If we don't fight for each other, who will fight for us? We've got work to do.
That's right.
So I want to leave you with, each of us has been given different gifts. My gift may be speaking or motivating or teaching. Your gift might be serving behind the scenes. One of the persons that we wanted to honor is not someone who's out front. She's behind the scenes working. But she said, I don't have a story to tell. I said, you do. Because if we didn't have people behind the scenes working, the people who are out front couldn't do what they're doing. It takes all of us working together. And so I want you to find your niche, whatever that niche may be.
That's good.
I want you to seek for it. I want you to pray and ask God to tell you, what is it, God, you would have me to do to make a difference in the community where I live? How can I use what you've given me? It might be on the phone calling people. It might be writing letters. But everything that we do to make a difference in the lives of others counts. And I thank you for the opportunity.